My name's Johnny Sequoyah, and I play Lucy. I love horror movies. I think they're so fun. I don't know if there's any other movie that's like more exciting to get a group of people together and go to the theater and see. When I read the script, I was honestly very surprised. I did not think that there could be an animal film that has this much suspense and also like heartbreak. But what I really connected with most was just like how strong all the characters are, and I think like that makes the film especially scary because you really are rooting for these characters to survive. I think what makes this movie especially scary is just how intense some of the scenes are, especially when you're, rooting for these characters and you really care about them. I think that there's a really nice aspect to the film where you really get to understand the world before things kind of break loose. Ben is a chimpanzee, but he is also really a member of the Pinborough family. Him and Lucy's mom really grew up together because Lucy's mom was a linguistics professor who was trying to discover the connection between chimpanzees and humans, specifically through language. And so when Lucy's mom brought Ben home, there was really an instant connection between Ben and Lucy and Erin, and he really just instantly became part of the family. He really is like a little brother, a member of the family. My first meeting with Johannes, he was just so lovely and just so open and really just sat all the actors down and just basically said, like, I trust you, you have creative control, whatever you think this character would do, like, I trust that. This is a collaborative experience. And that's not something you always get as an actor, so I was really grateful for that. He's such a dream to work with. He's truly so collaborative and gives you so much freedom as an actor. Troy Kotsur is so special. He is such a kind human and so talented, obviously. It was such a dream to be able to work with him. And I mean, he brings so much to every moment. It felt like an acting class being on set with him. The Primate cast is just so special. They're truly the best. I mean, they are just so brilliant. Everyone is so talented. And what I really appreciated is like, every single actor brought such an interesting element to their character. Primate is unlike any other horror movie I've ever seen. And I love horror movies. I think it's really interesting to see, kind of like humans versus our most primitive version of ourselves. If I could sum up Primate in one sentence, I would say it is bananas.
My name's Jess Alexander and I play Hannah in Primate. When I first read the script, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was pretty unusual and different in the horror space, and I thought it would sound like a challenge. I think the scariest thing about Primate is probably just that, obviously, man thinks they are the most powerful animal, right? And chimps are actually a lot stronger, which I would say is probably the scariest thing. Yeah, I mean, Ben is terrifyingly strong. I think the thing that attracted me most to the script was, A, just the horror aspect of it, because I knew I was going to get to do loads of screaming and there would be loads of blood and general fighting, which is always fun. I was definitely really interested in what it would be like working with water, like 2 weeks in a pool, kind of intense, so I wanted to see what that was going to be like. And definitely the chimp of it all, The team who did all the gore and everything, they are just like so unbelievably talented. I shot a very gory scene the other day and it was disgusting. And everyone was like, we'll remember this one. I mean, I think he actually told me that I had consumed more edible blood than anyone he's ever worked with. So I'm the proud holder of that record, thanks to this film. Hannah's reaction to Ben, like mine, was one of confusion. She's apprehensive, I think. But I think also she thinks it's quite cool, because here is this animal, this primate, that can seemingly have a very deep bond with its family and can communicate with these humans, and, it's pretty cool. Johannes is really fun to work with, honestly. I think he gives his actors a lot of freedom, I think he puts, horror is a genre that relies very heavily on your actors to carry it off, and I think he's aware of that and kind of just lets you go for it, you know, and will tell you bigger or smaller, but most of the time it's bigger, more screaming, more blood, more. Working with Troy was amazing, honestly. And Troy and Deanne, his wife, who's also a fantastic actress and was our ASL consultant on this, they worked really closely with us and were really patient with us and very open to helping us learn as well. But yeah, Troy's brilliant. Like, he brought a whole other aspect to this film that I really feel, you know, elevates the film. I think this film is unlike any other horror or suspense movie that is out there right now, is because, you know, as much as animal horror is kind of tapped into, but chimps, not really tapped into yet. They're quite scary. I think that's, you know, what makes it different. It's another animal that can destroy you, and you can go on that journey, you know, imagining what it would be like being trapped under the brute strength of a chimpanzee.
My name is Victoria Wyant, and I play Kate in Primate. The fact that a huge part of it is a wild animal, or an animal that should be living in the wild, gives it a sort of unpredictability that I feel like is maybe not explored a large amount, because as wild animals tend to be, is that you don't really know what their next move is going to be, so you can never really predict what's coming next. The thing that makes it scary is the fact that one of the main components is a chimp, and a chimp that has quite a drastic change overnight, goes from one thing to another, and it takes a while for us as characters to understand why that change has happened. I think the horror in this is suspenseful. I think there's a lot of suspense in this, which for me is petrifying. And gore. I think the gore is pretty hardcore in this film. The way that Miguel has brought Ben to life is that there's so much personality in him, which was something that I was in awe of when I first saw Miguel bring Ben to life. And so I think it almost makes it feel like the Pimbras just have another child. It's another member of the family. It's not a pet, it's like a whole other member of the family. And so the events that unfold are completely baffling, I think, to everyone. The thing that resonated with me about the story was the return to like priorities that really matter to you when you are faced with death and you are faced with a lot of horrific things going on around you. I mean, I think for a lot of the characters, it reminds them that the thing that is most important is family. And I think even though there is a lot of other things that you might focus on in a horror, you know, the gore and the suspense, I think the story of like love and love for your family and love for your friends, I think really shines through. And I really enjoyed reading that in the script. I've had such a good time working with Johannes. And I really feel like because he's such a horror fan and he's so experienced in this world, I can really trust that what I'm giving, if he's happy with it, I can be like, okay, Johannes is happy with it, let me not think about it anymore. And it's a really liberating thing as an actor to know that you can really lean on your director to steer you down the right path. I think Primate is gonna be a pretty wild ride. The whole element of the chimp being the thing that is creating the horror, I think that's so exciting. And I'm sure if an audience knows how sort of old school it's been made as well, that's gonna really appeal to a certain group of people. And again, the unpredictability of it all, I think, is really exciting because anything can happen. And I think that's pretty scary. 3 words to describe Primate would be suspenseful, wild, and gory. Is hella gory.
My name is Gia Hunter and I play Erin in Primate. Ben is so important to Erin because that's her mum. Like, that her mum has adopted this chimpanzee and he's grown up with us. And I think like chimpanzees are like minute, you know, details away from being human. Like, they're so incredibly human. He's the most important person in Erin's life. The kind of horror I think that this film explores is like, it explores like the gore kind of creature, like haunting aspect of it. There's so much blood, there's so much roughage going on. Knowing that Troy was going to be part of the movie was incredible, I think. Like, he is just such a wonderful actor and such a wonderful human being. He's so warm, so lovely. I can just tell that he put so much effort into his work and so much emotion. The set was stunning. It was absolutely stunning, and it was the basis of everything. Like, we wouldn't be able to do any of what we were doing without like imagining that we were in a villa in Hawaii.
My name is Benjamin Cheng. My role is Nick in Primate. Obviously I knew there was a chimp involved and the general gist of the movie, and I was just quite looking forward to seeing what the chimp would actually be like. And when Miguel, Ben the chimp, gets into character, it's quite scary. When he's up close with you, and I've had to do quite a few like rolls and flips and whatever like with him, it's realistic. If I've known this pet all its life and it suddenly goes a little bit crazy, I'm gonna be quite fearful. So I think it's pretty scary, hopefully pretty scary. And then leading on from there, it gets more kind of terrifying and more amped up. There are some scenes which I didn't think I would be doing myself. I thought it would be the stunt double or someone. And there's one where I have to kind of flip myself over. Yeah, it's sometimes pretty physical. Him as an actor, as a chimp, he's unreal. And any time we're doing some form of like stunt to some extent, I'm always like, are you okay? Like, just want to make sure that this is enough. Because if I'm doing something, I want to do it 100%. If I'm going to flip someone, I'm going to flip you. And we're going to do it properly because we need to make it look good on camera. You know, I can't do 50% on this?
My name is Miguel Torres Umba, and I am playing the role of Ben, the chimpanzee. I was actually very impressed by how visual and evoking it was. I was actually very, very taken, and I loved how clear, how the story evolved and really got us into a journey with all of the characters. Of course, I read it from the perspective of I'm going to be playing Ben, so in my mind I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. This is going to take a lot of effort, a lot of energy to get it done, but it's, I mean, very, very exciting to jump and take on the challenge. The thing that attracted me the most to the script and to playing Ben is the challenge. I found that to be a very exciting and unique opportunity, and also a venture, you know, in the age of AI and CGI and motion capture, where most of the films and productions are going that way, to take on the challenge to recreate this character using a real person, using the artistry of everyone involved to make it. I thought that was actually quite daring. So I was like, I like it. I'm well up for this. I'm well up for using my skills as an actor and as a physical person to bring it to life, and to see how not just me but everyone around could just bring it to life. So I thought that was very exciting. Ben is a chimpanzee, a pet chimpanzee that's been in this family, who's been learning to communicate through a linguistic device. He's been very much loved as part of the family. He has grown up with Erin and with Lucy, very close to their parents. So it's just one more child, so to speak, part of the family. Finding the in-between moments has been very, very interesting. I think the beauty of playing an animal, and again, chimpanzee, is that their emotions are very clear. It's one thing or the other. Like the gray zone is quite small. Either they're really upset and angry, or they're not. And I think, the moment of confusion and the moments where Ben is trying to come back to his own senses and connect with the family very quickly run out, just because the pain and he can't control this anymore. Talking about Johannes, I think what's been great is that I was also involved in the process from a bit early on, so I had a chance to be in the studios before as they were building the set, also training, also kind of getting myself ready for the role. So I had a chance to have a conversation with Johannes, to also see the evolution of the script and see how his mind was playing. I found it very exciting that he was well up for playing. You know, I think that it is key, especially when you're making this type of films. He was very invested in the story that he was creating, bringing all his experience from all his previous films, but also open to what else we could offer. So I think that felt really, really exciting for me, to play a role that is very challenging physically under all the circumstances that we play in it, but also just to have the backing of the director. And we had Troy as well with us, really lovely, really humble, really beautiful, really talented. Again, another great thing that the film has is this other world that we're exploring, with ASL, with also having an ASL character that is not about ASL, it's just the father of the family. But this relationship that we built was very special, very unique. I think this sets apart from many other suspense and thriller, that the beauty of it is absolutely beautifully crafted. It's beautiful, the picture is amazing, and not just from a cinematographical point of view, but also from the set. Costume is very rich. The emotional connections with the characters. Yes, we're seeing something, we're seeing a gruesome, we're seeing villain, but also we're very connected with it, and I think people are going to struggle with that. I think that is a beautiful thing in the film, is that it's not just black and white. I think we're going to struggle with letting Ben go and be the villain that he is, because we're going to feel quite attached to him, but also the craftsmanship across the film. I think that's very unique, it's very rich, and I think people are, they're going to be treated with a film very beautifully crafted.
I'm Johannes Roberts. I'm the co-writer and director of Primate. I think that the scariest thing about the premise is the chimp. Chimps are just terrifying. They're really evil, terrifying creatures. The more we started to research chimps, the darker it sort of became. And this movie is a very, very gory movie, so that was definitely the thing that sort of stuck out and became quite exciting but scary. Ben is a chimpanzee who was brought home by the family's mother. The mother was working with chimpanzees in order to further her research in linguistics. And Ben has become part of the family, and it's really terrifying when he starts to lose his mind, and you have this incredibly powerful. It's like this incredibly powerful teddy bear that can just rip you apart limb from limb. We decided to go with practical effects on this movie because it felt like it was such a visceral. Movie that needed to be the chimpanzee needed to be right there with the actors, and because they're so terrifying, so strong, and if we didn't have that threat to the actors, then it just wouldn't have worked. I was a big fan of Troy after watching Coda, and we approached him to be in Primate. We just wanted him to be part of the family, a normal part, the father of the family. So we had to rewrite the script. He just taught me a lot about deaf life, really. What it's like to be deaf. And I worked with him and his wife, Diane, to really make sure that this felt authentic. The fact that Troy was deaf, then sort of by its very nature sort of set up this really terrifying finale where Troy has come home, but has no idea of the peril that his daughters or he is in, because he can't hear any of the screams that are happening, and it's all kind of kicking off as he arrives. But he doesn't know about it. It's the biggest set I've ever worked on in my life, and it's absolutely massive. But it just means that you have the jungle all around it, and you have the translight, which is the night sky, and it just means that you are just totally immersed in this movie. There's no green screen or blue screen. And then obviously the chimp is not a CGI, so everything about this movie for the actors felt real, So it's really quite spectacular. Primate really is old school filmmaking, and in the best sense of the word, it will just be a lot harder hitting than any other horror movie that they've seen.